The message began as a whisper, soft, broken, almost lost inside the noise of deep space. At first, no one noticed it. It was too weak, too strange, too far away. It slipped across the edge of the galaxy like a dying breath. But then the whisper grew louder. It reached the listening posts of the Vorthan Empire, bouncing off their sensor arrays like a ghostly echo. Their technicians stared at the screens in confusion. The signal was messy, filled with static. But it carried something unusual, something powerful. Across the galaxy, in the quiet trade stations of the Kalari Union, the same strange signal appeared. Their scanners, normally calm and quiet, suddenly spiked with impossible readings, energies that should not exist, frequencies that no species used. Soon the signal was everywhere. It traveled through wormhole networks. It slipped through radiation fields. It echoed inside abandoned star systems. It forced its way into every communication channel like it refused to be ignored. Across every empire, alliance, and pirate outpost, the same message repeated: "This is a distress call from humanity." And with those words, the galaxy froze. Humanity, a name that had disappeared from history for decades. A species that once shook the galaxy with innovation, bravery, and unpredictable courage, then suddenly vanished behind their borders, becoming silent, secretive. Distant, some said humans had destroyed themselves. Others believed they were building weapons. A few thought humans were preparing for something terrible, but no one expected this. A distress call from the most stubborn and confident species in known space. Impossible, yet the signal kept repeating, louder each hour, as if it was forcing the galaxy to listen. The first to respond at the edge of the Zarian Dominion, a small patrol ship picked up the message. The commander, a thin insectoid officer named Talek, felt his wings tremble as he listened to the crackling audio. Humans asking for help, this alone was enough to shake him. But then came the second part of the message, the part that made his blood run cold. "They are coming, we cannot stop them alone." The voice in the recording was human, but strained, weak, like someone speaking with their last breaths. Behind the voice, strange sounds echoed, deep rumbling noises, like distant thunder in space. Talek replayed the recording again and again. Every time he felt something was wrong, terribly wrong. Humans rarely asked for assistance. They were proud, fearless, some would even say reckless. If they were desperate enough to send a galaxy-wide distress call, something enormous must be happening, something terrifying. Talek immediately sent the message up the chain of command. He didn't know that every other species in the galaxy was doing the same. Panic in the Galactic Council. Within 12 hours, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Massive holograms lit up a floating chamber where the leaders of 23 major civilizations gathered. The air was thick with fear. The Vorthan ambassador struck the table with one of his metal hands. "This must be fake," he growled. "Humans are trying to trick us." But the Kalari representative shook her head. "No, the energy signature is real. It matches old human technology, but on a scale we have never seen before." Dozens of holo screens flickered to life around the room, showing still images captured by long-range scanners. A massive dark region at the far edge of the galaxy, strange bursts of high-energy radiation, faint shapes moving inside the darkness, and finally a shadow swallowing an entire star's light. Gasps filled the chamber. The council leader, an ancient being of blue light known as Orin, spoke quietly. "Something is happening on the outer rim, something that consumes stars." Someone whispered, "Is this why humanity went silent?" Orin nodded slowly. "Perhaps they were preparing, perhaps they knew something we did not." Another ambassador leaned forward. "But why send a distress call now?" The screens flickered again. This time a new image appeared, one that silenced every voice in the chamber. A warship, but not just any warship. A ship so massive that sensors had to zoom out 3 times just to capture its full shape. Armored in red and gold, covered in towers and weapon platforms, lights glowing like a floating city. Its name, Titan-Class Warship. Humanity. The room fell completely silent. Someone whispered, "That thing is bigger than our capital stations." Another muttered, "No species has ever built something like that, not even the Drakari." Orin stared at the image for a long time. "If humanity built this, then whatever they are facing is beyond anything we know." Fear across the stars. The distress call spread like wildfire. In mining colonies, workers stopped their drills and listened with wide eyes. In luxury space stations, rich passengers watched the broadcast with pale faces. In pirate dens, even the most ruthless criminals looked shaken. The message was simple, desperate, and universal. They are coming, and they will consume everything. We cannot stop them alone. Speculation exploded everywhere. Some believed it was an enemy fleet. Some thought it was a natural disaster. Some whispered about ancient monsters from before recorded history. But only one rumor spread faster than all others. Humanity is fighting something big enough to scare humans. That alone terrified everyone. The lone survivor on a distant research vessel belonging to the Alistar Federation. A group of scientists studied the signal carefully. They filtered layers of static, enhanced the voice, and discovered something horrifying. There was more to the message. A hidden part, a part too damaged to play clearly. After several hours, they managed to reconstruct it. When the audio finally played, every scientist in the room went still. The human voice whispered, "I saw them, shadows feeding on the stars, they are waking, run before." The message cut into a painful screech. Then silence. The scientists exchanged horrified looks. Shadows feeding on stars, creatures that wake, something strong enough to destroy a Titan-Class Warship scout. This was no trick, no weapon test, no political scheme. It was a warning. A warning from someone who had seen the impossible. Shockwaves in the galaxy, every empire began preparing for the worst. Fleets moved to border regions, fortresses activated ancient weapon systems, governments declared a state of emergency, civilians rushed to buy supplies, pirate ships fled toward the inner sectors, explorers canceled missions and evacuated deep space outposts. In just one day, peace shattered. The galaxy had lived in fragile balance for centuries. But now one signal, one desperate recording, had pushed everyone to the edge of panic. Humanity's silence. The most frightening part was this. Humanity still said nothing. No follow-up message, no explanation, no communication, nothing. Only the distress signal repeated over and over again like a heartbeat slowing down. Rumors grew even darker. Had humanity already fallen? Was the Titan warship the last human ship left? Was the message sent by someone dying? Was something approaching the inner galaxy? Every species imagined the worst. A new signal appears just when panic reached its peak. A new signal burst through every communication channel across the galaxy. Louder, stronger, clearer. For a moment, everyone stopped. Pilots, soldiers, civilians, leaders. The new message was short, only 6 words that hit the galaxy like a shockwave. The Titan is coming to you. And then coordinates appeared, coordinates that pointed to a location at the center of the galaxy's political region. Right at the doorstep of the Galactic Council. The giant human warship was headed straight toward them, not hiding, not sneaking, not sending ambassadors, coming directly. The galaxy held its breath. Why, what was humanity planning? Was this war or warning? Was this salvation or doom? No one knew. But they all understood one thing: whatever forced humanity to send this call was powerful enough to terrify the species that had once terrified everyone else. And now, the Titan was coming, the greatest human warship ever built, coming fast, coming silent, coming with a message the galaxy was not ready to hear. The Titan arrived like a sunrise that swallowed the stars. One moment the region around the Galactic Council station was quiet, peaceful, calm. Ships drifted in their usual patterns, patrols followed routine paths, diplomats moved through the halls discussing politics and trade. And then space itself tore open. A massive rip in reality, blue, crackling, alive, spread across the darkness. For a heartbeat, every ship in the sector went silent. Their engines flickered, lights dimmed, energy fields trembled like they were afraid. Something enormous was forcing its way through. Inside the council station, alarms screamed. Diplomats rushed to windows, soldiers grabbed weapons, even though they knew nothing they carried would matter. They all watched as a shape pushed through the glowing tier. A shape so large it blocked out half of the view. A shape made of steel, fire, and impossible engineering. Humanity's Titan-Class Warship. The ship drifted out of the rift like a giant waking from a long sleep. Its hull gleamed red and gold under the star's light. Thousands of blue windows glowed like city towers. Gigantic plates of armor shifted and locked into place. Weapon platforms hummed quietly as if the ship was alive. The Titan didn't look like something built. It looked like something born, a creature of war and hope combined. Even the strongest alien empires had never created anything this huge. The Drakari Leviathan ships were legendary, but they were babies compared to this. The Vorthan dreadnoughts were feared across the galaxy, but even they looked like toys beside the Titan. This was not a warship. This was a continent in space, a floating civilization, a symbol of humanity's power and humanity's fear. A wave of panic across the system, ships scrambled to move away from the Titan's path. Some nearly collided with each other in panic. A Kelari cruiser activated every shield it had, trembling at the sight. A Zarian destroyer reversed engines so fast that smoke burst from its thrusters. No one dared fire, no one dared speak. No one dared move close. Even the Galactic Council Defense Fleet, normally brave, disciplined, and proud, kept its distance, unsure whether raising weapons would trigger a war that no one could win. In every control room, on every bridge, in every scanning post, one question filled every mind: why is humanity here? Inside the Titan, deep inside the warship, the bridge was calm. Bright blue holograms floated above the command center. Hundreds of officers worked at their stations, humans, all focused, all steady. Captain Aiden Ward stood at the center, his hands behind his back. His expression was calm, but there was exhaustion behind his eyes. He hadn't slept properly in days. "Status," he said softly. A young officer replied, "Rift transit stable, all systems operational, no hostile targeting detected." Aiden nodded. "Good, keep shields in standby mode only. We're not here to start a war." Another officer looked up. "Sir, but they think we are." Aiden sighed. "Yes, they do." He turned toward the main window, a gigantic viewport showing the galaxy outside. Tiny ships moved nervously around them like insects around a lion. He could feel the fear from here. He didn't blame them. If the Titan had arrived without warning near human space decades ago, humanity itself would have panicked. Aiden whispered softly, "Let's hope they listen this time." The council reacts inside the Galactic Council chamber. Chaos erupted. Dozens of ambassadors argued at once. "They brought a warship into our capital region. This is an invasion. No, look, their weapons are cold. What if they fire? We won't survive. Why is their ship so big? What are they fighting out there?" The council leader Orin raised a glowing hand. "Silence." The room fell quiet. "We must make contact," Orin said calmly. "We must understand why they sent the distress call." A nearby ambassador hissed. "Or why they brought a world-sized war machine into our borders." Orin replied, "Because whatever they are facing may be greater than all our fear." He turned toward the communication officers. "Open a channel." A message from the Titan on the Titan's bridge. An alert flashed on the main holo screen. "Council communication request," an officer said. Aiden nodded. "Put it through." A hologram of Orin appeared, tall, shimmering, ancient. "Captain Aiden Ward," Orin said. "Voice steady, you have returned to the galaxy in great force. Your distress call spread fear and confusion. We must know what is happening. Why are you here?" Aiden looked tired. He stepped forward and faced the hologram. "We didn't send the distress call to threaten the galaxy," Aiden said softly. "We sent it because we discovered something catastrophic." The council chamber tensed. Aiden continued. Voice low but strong, "You all know humanity has been silent for decades. That was not by choice. We encountered a threat, something from beyond the galactic rim." He pressed a button on his wrist console. A hologram projected beside him, a blurred image of shadows moving inside a star's light. "This," Aiden said, "consumed a human scout fleet in minutes." The council members gasped. Some stepped back from the hologram as if it could reach through and touch them. Aiden spoke again. "These creatures feed on energy. They drain suns. They drink shields. Weapons only make them stronger." Orin frowned. "Creatures, you mean ships?" Aiden shook his head. "No, they are alive." The chamber went silent, truly silent. Aiden continued. "We call them the Voidborn. They came from a region of dead stars outside the mapped universe. We don't know why, we don't know how, but they are moving inward. And once they reach populated space, no empire will stop them." Disbelief turns to fear. Ambassadors began shouting again. "Living shadows, energy eaters, impossible. Humans are lying. Show more proof. This is fear propaganda." Orin raised his hand again. "Enough." He turned to Aiden. "You said humanity cannot stop them alone. Is the Titan not strong enough?" Aiden looked at the giant ship around him, the pride of humanity. Its greatest engineering marvel, a floating city built for war. "And yet, no," he said softly. "Even the Titan will fall if we face the Voidborn alone." The council chamber filled with dread. Aiden's warning. Aiden stepped closer to the hologram, his voice steady. "We didn't build the Titan to destroy you. We built it for this moment, to warn you, to unite you, to prepare you." Another hologram flickered beside him, the last message from the human scout survivor. "Shadows feeding on the stars, they are waking, run before." The scream that followed echoed across the chamber. Even the bravest council members flinched. When the recording ended, Aiden spoke again. "You have all prepared for war with each other for centuries. But the enemy coming now doesn't care about your borders, your power, your pride." He leaned forward. "They will consume everything. And they are coming fast." The galaxy holds its breath. Every screen across the chamber showed the Titan drifting silently outside, massive, powerful, calm. Aiden finished with 6 words, "Fight with us or die alone." The transmission ended. The hologram vanished. Silence filled the Galactic Council chamber. Not fear, not panic, something worse. Realization. For the first time in centuries, every species understood the same truth. Humanity hadn't returned as conquerors. They had returned as the only ones prepared for the end. And now the galaxy had to decide. The Titan moved into position like a silent moon made of steel. Its engines glowed softly and the massive warship drifted near the Galactic Council station with calm, controlled precision. From far away, the ship looked peaceful, but anyone who knew human engineering understood the truth. Inside the Titan, nothing was peaceful. Every corridor buzzed with activity. Every deck was alive. Every human on board carried the same weight, the knowledge that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. A giant with a beating heart deep inside the ship near the central core, the Titan's main reactor pulsed like a heartbeat. Its energy echoed across the walls, creating a low hum that could be felt through the floors. Engineers hurried through the large walkways, checking readings and adjusting consoles. Some of them had dark circles under their eyes. Some looked pale from stress. Some whispered quietly about the Voidborn, but they all kept moving. They had no choice. Humanity had built the Titan not for glory, but for survival. Captain Aiden Ward walked through the central corridor with long, heavy steps. He wasn't wearing a parade uniform, no medals today. He wore simple black command armor. There was no time for formality. Every crew member he passed paused and saluted him. Aiden nodded back, offering a brief smile to keep morale alive. Inside, he didn't feel like smiling. He felt the weight of fear pressing against him. As he entered the bridge, the room stretched open into a wide, circular platform with transparent walls. The view of space outside was breathtaking, stars shining, ships moving like fireflies, and the Galactic Council station glowing in the distance. Aiden approached his command chair. "Status?" he asked without sitting. "Lieutenant Mira Kensho." His second-in-command stepped forward. Her voice was sharp but calm. "Diagnostics are complete, shields are stable, weapons offline as ordered, no hostile lock detected." Aiden nodded slowly. "Good, their fear is already high enough." Mira looked at him with serious eyes. "They don't trust us, Captain. They think we're hiding something." Aiden stared at the stars. "We are," he whispered, "but not what they think. A secret deep below on deck 22, far below the bridge." 3 scientists gathered in a heavily sealed lab. The lights were dim and the air was thick with tension. A large cylindrical container glowed in the center of the room. Inside it, something moved, not much, just a ripple, but even that ripple sent chills down the scientists' spines. Dr. Halloran, the lead researcher, stared at the container with nervous eyes. "We should not have brought it here," she whispered. A younger scientist shook his head sharply. "We need the evidence. The other species won't believe us unless they see it themselves." Halloran pressed her hands against the cold metal. "They will panic if they see it. They'll fire on us instantly." The container glowed again. Dark shapes shifted inside like smoke underwater. Dr. Halloran stepped back. "This is a mistake," another scientist whispered. "If the voidborn specimen wakes up." Everyone fell silent. Nobody wanted to finish the sentence. Aiden's burden back on the bridge. Aiden looked down at his hands. They were shaking, not from fear, not from stress, from memory. He remembered the last human scout ship that encountered the Voidborn. He remembered the screams, the shadows, the way energy drained like water pouring into a black hole. He remembered the survivor's final message, "They are waking." Aiden closed his eyes. He could still see the darkness swallowing the stars. Mira approached him quietly. "Captain, did we do the right thing coming here?" Aiden opened his eyes and looked at her. "If we didn't warn them, no one would survive, not us, not them." He turned back toward the window. The Titan wasn't built to save humanity, it was built to save everyone. Unexpected visitors, a sudden alert flashed on the main screen. "Captain," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving multiple docking requests from Council ships." Mira frowned. "Visitors already?" Aiden shook his head. "No, not visitors." He walked toward the giant window where the Council station floated outside. "Inspectors," Mira's eyes widened. "They want to board the Titan." "Of course," Aiden replied. "If we arrived at their doorstep with a warship the size of a city, we'd do the same." Aiden straightened his back. "Prepare a diplomatic escort and send word to Deck 22, lock down the lab. No one, and I mean no one, goes near the specimen." Mira nodded and left immediately. The Council delegation arrives minutes later. The docking bay doors opened. Alien representatives stepped out cautiously, guarded by heavily armed soldiers. Their eyes moved nervously across the massive hangar. The Titan's hangar alone was larger than some Council ships. Commander Torres greeted them with a polite bow. "Welcome aboard the Titan. Captain Aiden Ward is expecting you." One ambassador, a tall crystalline being, spoke first. "You request access to your full systems, and we demand proof of your claims." Ree smiled softly, hiding her irritation. "You will receive transparency, Ambassador, but you must follow our safety protocols." A short reptilian delegate hissed, "We will not be controlled by a human warship." Ree leaned closer, her voice quiet but firm. "If our ship wanted to control you, Ambassador, you would not be standing here." The reptilian froze. His soldiers took a step back. Ree straightened and motioned toward the corridor. "Follow me." The Titan shows its power as the delegation walked deeper into the ship. They saw vast engineering rooms filled with humming energy cores, training halls, with soldiers practicing with advanced weapons, tactical screens showing distant star systems in detail, thick armor plates layered like mountains of steel, defense cannons large enough to erase small moons. Every alien visitor felt the same thing. The Titan was too powerful, too advanced, too impossible. One ambassador whispered to another, "Why did humanity need something this big?" None of them noticed Ree glancing nervously at the elevators that led to Deck 22. That area stayed silent. Locked, hidden, shadows inside the lab. Back in the sealed lab, the voidborn specimen pulsed again. Dr. Halloran checked her monitors. "The life signs are increasing." Another scientist panicked. "That shouldn't be possible. It's been dormant for weeks." The container glowed. The shadows inside swirled faster. Dr. Halloran whispered, "It senses something." The lights flickered. The specimen pulsed again, harder this time, as if responding to something outside the ship, something approaching. Aiden's warning on the bridge. Aiden joined the council delegation gathered around a large holotable. He projected star maps showing regions of darkness spreading across the outer galaxies. One area blinked red. "This," Aiden said, "is where the Voidborn were last seen." The map zoomed in, stars were disappearing, energy readings dropped to 0. Habitable planets turned cold, ambassadors gasped. One whispered, "It looks like something is eating the galaxy." Aiden nodded, "Yes, and that something is moving toward us." The alarming reading suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. "Captain," an officer shouted, "we're detecting something, a wave of unknown energy." Aiden spun around. "Voidborn? No, not yet, but it's similar, very similar." The council delegation panicked. "Are they here? Did you lead them to us? Did your ship bring danger to our home?" Aiden raised his voice, strong and clear. "Everyone stay calm." And then the lights flickered, the deck vibrated, the shadows in the corners stretched unnaturally. Inside the sealed lab, the voidborn specimen slammed against its container. Dr. Halloran screamed, "It's waking up." The Titan shook for 3 long seconds. Lights flickered, consoles flashed red. A low rumble rolled through the entire ship, like something far away had just knocked on the door of reality. Then silence, a terrible, heavy silence. Inside the bridge, every officer froze, their fingers hovered over consoles, eyes wide, breath held. Captain Aiden Ward stared at the main screen, waiting for another tremor. Nothing came, but that silence felt worse. Because everyone knew when the Voidborn moved, you never saw them first, you only felt them. Aiden clenched his jaw. "Status report, now." Lieutenant Mira Kensho read rapidly from her console. "No physical damage, no hull breach, but we picked up a massive energy ripple." Aiden's eyes narrowed. "What kind of ripple?" Mira hesitated. "It matches Voidborn signature." Gasps erupted across the bridge. Aiden exhaled slowly. "It's starting." Behind him, the council delegation panicked instantly. The reptilian ambassador hissed, "You brought the enemy to our home." The crystalline diplomat shouted, "Your ship is a danger to every species here." Others backed away from the windows, as if expecting shadows to break through the glass. Commander Torres stepped forward. "Calm down. If the Voidborn were here, you'd already be dead." That silenced them. Inside the lab, the specimen wakes on deck 22. The sealed lab descended into chaos. The Voidborn specimen slammed against the container again, and this time cracks appeared along the reinforced glass. Shadows inside twisted violently like a storm trapped in a bottle. Dr. Halloran stumbled back. "It's reacting to the ripple," a young scientist yelled. "Keep the magnetic fields up, increase to maximum." "I already did that," Halloran screamed. "It's still rising." The container glowed brighter and brighter. Dark liquid shadows crawled along the inside like living ink. The scientists stared in horror. "We need to contact the captain," but there was no time. Because the lights went out, total darkness swallowed the lab, and inside the darkness, something whispered, not a voice, not words, just a sound like tearing paper and cracking bones. Halloran froze. "That's the sound the scouts reported hearing just before." The container pulsed violently. Boom, the entire lab shook. The scientists screamed. On the bridge, energy builds back on the bridge, readings spiked again. "Another ripple incoming," an officer shouted. "Bigger this time." A deep rumble passed through the Titan like thunder rolling across metal mountains. Aiden grabbed the railing, shields to full power, defensive posture gamma. Mira moved instantly, but the council delegation wasn't done accusing. "You brought this horror here, your silence caused this crisis. Humanity will doom us all." Aiden spun around furious. "We didn't bring the Voidborn here," he roared. "They found us." The room went silent. "We detected their advance weeks ago." Aiden continued. "We tried to warn the galaxy, but our long-range transmissions were blocked. Someone jammed them." Ambassadors exchanged horrified looks. Who would block message warnings? Why would anyone hide this? Unless someone wants the galaxy weak. Aiden cut them off. "We don't have time for politics. You want proof of the threat." He pointed to the sealed doors at the back of the bridge. "It's on deck 22. The decision Torres arrived breathless. "Captain, we have a problem." Aiden already knew. The lab nodded. "It's awake." The council delegation erupted again. "You have a Voidborn on board. Are you insane? Destroy it now." Aiden's voice sliced through the shouting. "That specimen is the only reason you will believe us." He stepped forward and lowered his voice. "Without proof, every species would ignore our warning. They would argue, they would mock us, they would say humans exaggerate." The crystalline ambassador swallowed hard. "And now, Aiden said quietly, "you will understand what we face." Descent into the Titan, the council delegation followed Aiden and Ree through the corridors. Soldiers lined the walls, tall, armored, armed with rifles that hummed with energy. The deeper they went, the darker the corridors became. Emergency lights replaced the normal bright ones. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls. Something about the air felt wrong. Heavy still, like the ship itself was holding its breath. As they entered deck 22, emergency barricades locked behind them. Aiden spoke without turning. "No one touches anything, stay behind me." Ambassadors nodded nervously. Even the proud reptilian delegate stayed quiet. The lab, a terrifying sight. The lab doors opened with a hiss. Inside, chaos. The walls were scorched black. Consoles smoked. Scientists huddled together, terrified. The air smelled of burnt metal and something else, something cold. In the center, the container had cracked. Shadows inside pressed against the fractures like living fingers made of smoke. Aiden stepped forward slowly, re-whispered, "It's stronger than before." Aiden narrowed his eyes. No, it's scared. The council heard him and froze. Scared, but it's a voidborn. Aiden nodded. Yes, and if this tiny piece is afraid, imagine the monsters that created it. The specimen reacts. The voidborn specimen sensed the council delegation. It turned toward them slowly. The shadows inside stretched upward, forming shapes like claws, like teeth, like something ancient trying to remember how to be alive. One of the ambassadors stumbled back. It sees us, Dr. Halloran whispered from the corner. It doesn't see, it feels. The shadows slammed the container again. Cracks spread. Aiden raised his hand. Don't be afraid, it can't break out. The containment field is holding. But even he didn't sound confident. A long, deep growl echoed from the container. Not animal, not machine, something in between, something wrong. The reptilian ambassador collapsed to one knee. That thing will devour us. Aiden spoke firmly. Yes, that is why humanity built the Titan. He pointed at the shadow creature. And that is why we need all of you. A shocking reveal. Suddenly, the ship AI spoke through the speakers. Captain Ward. Voidborn energy detected approaching the system. Everyone froze. Aiden's blood turned cold. How many signatures? The AI paused. Multiple estimate. A small swarm. Grabbed her head. How did they reach us so fast? Aiden didn't answer. He knew the truth. The ripples they felt earlier were not warnings. They were footsteps. The Voidborn were already searching, already hunting. And the Titan's presence had drawn them closer. He turned to the council delegation. We don't have days. We don't have hours. We have minutes. The crystalline ambassador trembled. What do we do? Aiden's eyes hardened. We prepare for war. Panic in the galaxy. Emergency transmissions lit up the council station. Ships activated shields. Civilians ran to shelters. Fleets scrambled to protect the core worlds. Panic spread faster than communication. For the first time in centuries, every species in the galaxy felt the same fear, the same danger, the same helplessness. And as the first wave of voidborn energy darkened the edge of the star system, the galaxy understood the truth. The war had already begun. The Titan's alarms thundered through every corridor like metal heartbeats. Red lights flashed. Emergency shields activated. The ship's engines growled as they shifted into a combat stance. But the bridge stayed silent. Everyone on board knew what this meant. The Voidborn had found them. Captain Aiden Ward stared at the main screen as a dark wave appeared at the edge of the star system. It wasn't a single ship. It wasn't even a fleet. It looked like a shadow moving through space, swallowing stars as it drifted closer. Lieutenant Mira Kensho whispered, "It's not just a swarm, it's a migration." Aiden's heart dropped. Migration meant thousands. The galaxy watches in fear across the system. The Galactic Council broadcast emergency alerts to every world. Unknown hostile force approaching. All fleets prepare for retreat. Shelters activate immediately. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. But panic was spreading faster than the warnings. Civilian ships fled in every direction. Military fleets hovered near planets, unsure whether to fight or hide. The council station shook as shields strengthened to maximum. Inside the council chamber, leaders watched the growing shadow on their screens. One ambassador whispered, "You're too late." Another cried, "Why did we waste years fighting each other?" A third asked, "Can the Titan stop them?" Orin, the council leader, closed his eyes. "That depends," he said softly, "on whether humanity tells the truth today." Aiden calls for silence on the Titan's bridge. Aiden raised a hand. "Mute all alarms, all of them." Officers exchanged confused looks. "But sir, do it." The alarms cut off. The silence that followed felt heavier than any noise. Aiden stepped into the center of the bridge. His voice was steady, calm, too calm. "Open communication to the entire system, all channels." The communications officer swallowed hard and nodded. "Open." A blue circle glowed around Aiden's feet as the ship projected his voice across space. Every screen on every ship flickered, every comm unit buzzed, every world in the system heard the same deep, steady voice. "This is Captain Aiden Ward of the Titan-Class Warship. The Titan speaks to the galaxy." Aiden's voice echoed across the stars. "You have feared us, you have doubted us, you have accused us. Now understand this, we do not come as conquerors, we come because every species in this galaxy is in danger." The shadow on the edge of the system grew darker, bigger, closer. Aiden continued, "The threat approaching is older than your empires, older than humanity, older than the stars themselves." The screen behind him displayed the Voidborn swarm, thousands of moving shadows consuming light. They feed on energy, shields, weapons, suns. The more power you use against them, the stronger they become. A ripple of fear traveled through millions of listeners. Aiden raised his voice, "Do not fire, do not run, do not panic." He turned to Mira and whispered, "Activate Project Echo." She hesitated. "Sir, are you sure? Once we do this, there's no turning back." Aiden nodded. "Do it." Project Echo, humanity's last secret. All across the Titan, systems roared to life. Hidden generators powered up. Deep reactors hummed. The ship trembled as massive internal structures unlocked. Panels slid apart along the Titan's spine, revealing enormous ring-shaped devices glowing blue. A giant energy pulse started to build. Aiden continued speaking to the galaxy. "We built the Titan to survive what is coming. Not just for humanity, but for all of you. He looked straight into the broadcast camera. "We will show you what the Voidborn fear." Inside the lab, the specimen panics. Down in Deck 22, the Voidborn specimen screeched, a terrifying, bone-cracking sound. The shadows inside its container thrashed wildly, smashing against the reinforced walls. Dr. Halloran backed away. "It's terrified, it senses the activation." The young scientist yelled, "Why would the Voidborn fear human technology?" Halloran whispered, "They don't fear technology, they fear the signal." Another slam cracked, the container cracked across the center. Halloran screamed, "It's breaking free." The Titan powers up on the bridge. Aiden braced himself. "Prepare for full field expansion, engage on my mark." Mira shouted, "Captain, the energy spike will be visible across half the galaxy." Aiden nodded. "Good, they need to see it." The Titan's rings glowed brighter. Blue lightning arced along the hull. The ship's core roared like a living beast. Aiden spoke again to the galaxy. "You wanted proof, this is our proof." The shadow approaches. The Voidborn swarm entered the outer planets. Stars dimmed. Frozen dust drifted through space as temperatures dropped. The first tendrils of shadow reached toward the inner system. Millions of beings watched in horror as the darkness spread. Soldiers on the council station stood at their windows, shaking. Families on nearby worlds prayed quietly. Pilots held their controls with sweaty hands. Everyone waited for Aiden's command. Aiden's last warning. Aiden spoke the words the galaxy would remember forever. "We cannot defeat them with weapons. We cannot defeat them with armies, but we can hold them, we can blind them, we can make them fear coming closer." He turned to Mira. "Mira, engage Echo." Mira placed her hand onto the glowing control panel. Energy surged, engines roared, light exploded across the ship. Project Echo activated. A wave of blue-white energy burst from the Titan, expanding outward like a glowing sphere. It swept through the system, harmless to ships and planets, but deadly to the Voidborn. Where the wave touched the shadows, they screamed. The swarm thrashed, twisting violently, pulling back as though burned. Across the galaxy, listeners gasped. Aiden's voice thundered, "This is what they fear." Another burst of energy erupted, and another. Each wave pushed the Voidborn back a little further, but then the shadows stopped retreating. They condensed, merged, formed into a single massive shape, a shape with no eyes, no face, no form, just darkness. The Voidborn answered. The Voidborn speak back for the first time ever. A sound echoed through every ship, every station, every world, a whisper, a chorus. 1,000 voices overlapping. "You cannot stop us." The council delegation fell to their knees. Orin trembled. Civilians screamed. Aiden's heart froze. The shadows shifted and began charging toward the Titan. The shadow that formed at the edge of the system was larger than anything Aiden or the Titan had ever faced. It moved like smoke. It breathed like a giant. Its body swallowed light as if light itself feared touching it. Every screen across the system flickered the moment it appeared. And the whisper echoed again, "You cannot stop us." The words were not spoken through sound, not through speakers. They were felt inside the mind, inside the bones, inside the very soul. Across the bridge, officers clutched their heads. One fell to his knees. Another cried out in pain. Lieutenant Mira Kensho staggered but stood strong. "Captain," she gasped, "it's speaking directly into our minds." Aiden stared at the approaching darkness. "No," he whispered, "it's feeding." The Titan shakes. The Voidborn entity released a pulse of dark energy. The Titan shook, lights flickered, shields wavered, energy meters dropped. Aiden gripped the railing. "What was that?" An officer shouted. "Captain, it drained 3% of our core just by existing." Aiden's blood froze. That was impossible. The Titan's core could power a small star. If the Voidborn could drain it that easily, humanity was facing something beyond science, beyond reason, something ancient. The galaxy trembles inside the council station. Leaders collapsed in fear. Ships farther out reported their engines flickering. Some planets felt sudden temperature drops. Solar energy collectors dimmed as sunlight grew weaker. A scientist on the council station screamed into his mic, "It's draining the star. The Voidborn is sucking power directly from our sun." Panic spread like wildfire. A reptilian ambassador wailed, "We are doomed. There is no escape." But Orin, the council leader, forced himself to stand. "No," he whispered. "Not yet. Look." He pointed at the screen. The Titan still burned bright. Aiden was still fighting. Humanity was still standing. In the lab, the specimen speaks. On Deck 22, the Voidborn specimen in the cracked container writhed violently as the larger entity approached. Its shadows twisted into shapes, not claws, not teeth, but something almost like a mouth. Dr. Halloran backed away in terror. "It's reacting to the Alpha," she whispered. Alpha, the largest of the Voidborn, the oldest, the first. The specimen's shadows formed jagged shapes, then impossibly it spoke. A low, broken whisper echoed through the lab. "Hunger comes." Halloran covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Another whisper followed. "You cannot hide." The container cracked again. A spiderweb fracture ran across the entire surface. One scientist fainted, another screamed, "It's trying to join the Alpha." "If it escapes," Halloran shouted, "seal the room, seal it." Aiden faces the shadow back on the bridge. Aiden stood tall despite the weight pressing on his mind. The shadow giant drifted closer to the Titan. It didn't move like a ship. It didn't fly like a creature. It simply was like gravity, like darkness, like hunger. Aiden whispered, "What are you?" The Voidborn replied, voice like 1,000 dying stars, "We are the first light eaters." Aiden's heart stopped. Mira swallowed hard. Light eaters. The whisper flowed through them again, cold, cruel. When your stars were young, we were already feasting. The bridge filled with terrified silence. The Voidborn were older than galaxies, older than life, older than time, perhaps. A terrifying truth. The massive shadow expanded its form, revealing strange ancient patterns, glowing symbols, spiral shapes, runes made of darkness. Aiden stared in horror. Those markings, they're older than any language we know. Mira whispered, "They look like warnings." Aiden nodded slowly. "They are warnings to stay away." The Voidborn whispered again, "Your kind found what you should not have seen." Aiden clenched his fists. "You destroyed our scout fleet. You murdered them." Another whisper, "They shone too bright. We ate them." A chill ran down everyone's spine. This wasn't war. This wasn't hatred. This was hunger, pure ancient hunger. The Voidborn weren't invaders. They were predators, and the galaxy was prey. Project Echo strains. The Titan fired another massive echo pulse. The wave blasted across space, bright, powerful, ringing like thunder. The Alpha Shadow recoiled, but only slightly. Mira shouted, "Captain, echo pulses are weakening. The core is overheating." Aiden stared at the readings. "We can't stop the Alpha with echo alone." The officers froze. "Then what do we do?" Aiden looked at the giant shadow on the screen. "We hold it back long enough for the galaxy to prepare." A message to the galaxy. Aiden stepped forward again. "Open system-wide broadcast." The communications officer's hands shook as he obeyed. Aiden faced the camera. "People of the galaxy, this is not a normal enemy." He pointed at the shadow. "This is the Alpha Voidborn, the ancient eater of stars." He continued, "Your weapons will not stop them. Your armies will not stop them. Your shields will not stop them." The galaxy listened in terrified silence. "But you can survive them if we stand together." His voice grew stronger. "Evacuate border systems, fortify inner worlds, share technology, unite fleets." He glared into the camera. "This is no longer humanity's war. This is everyone's fight." The Alpha speaks again. The shadow giant drifted closer. Its voice filled the minds of millions. "We hunt all light. Your unity means nothing." Aiden stared at the shadow without blinking. Light isn't the only thing in this galaxy. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. But for the first time, he felt hope. Life fights back. The Alpha attacks. The shadow surged forward. A tidal wave of dark energy slammed against the Titan. Shields exploded in sparks. Panels lit up red. The hull groaned like a wounded beast. Officers screamed. Shields down by 20%. Core instability rising. "We can't take another hit." Aiden shouted, "Echo pulse now." But Mira hesitated. "Sir, the core." Now, she hit the control. The Titan unleashed another blinding wave. The Alpha recoiled, but not far. It returned instantly, closer, hungrier. The bridge shook violently. Alarm sirens blared. Aiden grabbed the console. They want the Titan, they want the core. And then he realized the Titan was glowing. Its energy was like a beacon, a feast. A meal calling to the Voidborn. Aiden whispered, "They're not just here to feed, they're here for us." End of Part 6. Hook. As the shadow wrapped its tendrils around the Titan, the ship AI screamed, warning, hull breach incoming. Mira gasped, "Captain, they're trying to reach the core." Aiden's eyes widened. "If they reach the core, they'll become unstoppable." He turned to the bridge crew. "All hands prepare for impact." The shadow lunged, and the screen went dark. The Titan groaned like a dying giant. Metal screamed, sparks burst from the ceiling, every console flashed red, every alarm howled. The Alpha Voidborn, the giant shadow, wrapped its tendrils around the Titan's hull, pulling the ship into darkness like a predator dragging its prey into a cave. Inside the bridge, lights flickered wildly. The crew held onto railings as the ship shook violently. Lieutenant Mira Kensho yelled, "Captain, the Alpha is draining our core. We're losing power everywhere." Aiden didn't blink. "How long before the core collapses?" Mira swallowed hard. "At this rate, minutes." Aiden stared at the screen. The giant shadow outside pulsed with hunger. Its tendrils dug deeper into the Titan's metal skin. Panels ripped open. Energy was sucked out like water from a broken tank. "We can't let it take the core," Aiden whispered. "If the Alpha consumes Titan's core, it will gain enough energy to destroy half the galaxy." Everyone froze. Suddenly this wasn't a battle. It was a countdown. The Council watches in horror inside the Galactic Council station. Leaders watched as the Titan dimmed, glowing weaker each second. The reptilian ambassador collapsed against a pillar. "They will fall. Humanity is finished. We are all finished." But Orin, the council leader, forced himself to stand. "No, look carefully." He pointed at the Titan. "Humanity isn't running. Humanity isn't surrendering. They're still fighting." A holo screen zoomed in. Even as the Alpha drained the ship, the Titan's last echo generators still glowed, barely faint but still alive. Orin whispered, "No other species would stand their ground against something so ancient." The crystalline ambassador shakily replied, "They are doing it for us, aren't they?" Orin nodded. "Yes, they came here to warn us, to save us." Another ambassador asked, trembling, "What can we do to save them?" Orin stared at the screen. That is the hardest question of all. Deep inside the Titan, a terrible decision on Deck 22, the Voidborn specimen thrashed harder than ever. The container shattered, crack crrrrrrck boom, glass exploded outward, shadows spilled into the room like liquid night. Scientists screamed. One was pulled into the shadows instantly, gone without a sound. Dr. Halloran backed against the wall, her voice shook. "It's joining the Alpha, we need to seal this deck. We need to." A tendril shot toward her, she screamed, but a blast door slammed shut at the last second, sealing the lab and containing the darkness inside. The ship AI echoed, Deck 22 quarantined. Dr. Halloran sank to the floor on the safe side of the door, shaking. It's not just attacking, it's evolving. The Titan's core weakens on the bridge, the ship's energy bars dropped below critical. 20%, 15%, 11%, 8%. Aiden gripped the controls. "Prepare for final defense protocol." Mira stared at him. "Captain, you don't mean..." Aiden nodded. "Yes, Protocol 0. The entire bridge fell silent. Protocol 0, the Titan's last option, a system that had never been used, a system that could destroy the ship and everything within 1 light minute." Mira whispered, "Captain, if we activate that, you'll die. We'll all die." Aiden looked at her steadily. "If the Titan falls into the Alpha's hands, every world in this system will die." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "It's not fair, humanity already lost so much." Aiden placed a hand on her shoulder. "Heroes don't get fair endings, Mira, they get necessary ones." A voice across the stars, a soft tone rang on the bridge. "Captain, incoming transmission," an officer said shakily. "From where?" Aiden asked. "From the Council." Aiden frowned. "Put it through." A hologram of Orin appeared, trembling, eyes full of fear and determination. "Captain Aiden Ward," he began softly. "You do not stand alone." Aiden blinked in shock. "What?" Orin continued. "We have mobilized every ship in the system. We have prepared every weapon. We have called every species to arms." The holo expanded, showing dozens, hundreds of ships approaching. Vorthan war cruisers, Kelari frigates, Zarian destroyers, Alistar science vessels. Civilian ships retrofitted with guns. Old fleets pulled out of museums. New fleets rushed from dry docks. Every species was coming. Every ship that could fly was moving toward the Titan. Orin spoke again. "We are not running anymore. We are not hiding. We are not waiting." He raised his voice. "We fight with you." The first Galactic Unity Fleet, the fleets formed a massive ring around the Titan. Lights turned on, weapons powered up. Shields connected in a unified defense web. Mira gasped. "They answered." Aiden stared at the screens, his voice cracked for the first time. They listened, the galaxy had united. For the first time in history, every species stood together, not against humans, not against each other, against the darkness. The Alpha roars the shadow giant through the Titan violently, pulling harder on the core. The ship groaned, panels exploded. Energy dropped, 5%, 4%, 3%. The Alpha released another psychic roar. "We hunger all, you are nothing." Ships in the Unity fleet trembled, some turned away afraid, others held their ground determined. Aiden wiped blood from his forehead. "We may be nothing alone," he whispered, but together he raised his fist. "We are everything." The Titan's last stand, Aiden shouted, "Prepare all remaining echo generators. Link them with the Unity fleet." Officers stared at him. "That's impossible." "No," Aiden roared. "We link every ship, every generator, every power cell." Mira understood instantly. "You want to create a galaxy-sized echo pulse?" Aiden nodded. "It's the only way to push the Alpha back." The comms officer shouted, "Transmitting energy links now." Ships responded. One by one, alien fleets connected their energy fields with the Titan. Lines of blue light stretched across space like glowing veins. The Titan shone brighter, brighter, brighter. "Captain," Mira shouted, "we're ready." Aiden placed his hand on the firing console. "On my mark." The Alpha pulled harder, sensing danger. The bridge cracked, the bulkhead bent, the ship screamed. Aiden raised his voice. "All hands brace for echo." The galaxy roars back. Aiden punched the command. Fire. The Titan exploded with light. The Unity fleet exploded with light. A massive wave of blue-white energy burst outward, bigger than any pulse ever recorded. Brighter than any star in the system, strong enough to shake the void itself. It hit the Alpha. The shadow screamed, a sound like a dying universe. The Alpha reeled backward, its form unraveling, twisting, breaking. Ambassadors watching from the Council station wept. Citizens on distant worlds cheered. Soldiers screamed in victory. Aiden whispered, "Hold, hold." The echo wave intensified. The Alpha roared, its body cracked apart, light leaking through its dark skin. Finally, with a final deafening scream, the Alpha Voidborn exploded into nothing. The shadow vanished, the darkness faded, light returned to the system, the sun brightened, the void fell silent. The Titan falls quiet inside the Titan, every light flickered off. The echo wave had drained everything. The bridge dimmed, screens shut down, engines died, the ship floated in silence. Aiden fell to his knees. Exhausted, Mira caught him, tears in her eyes. "It's over, Captain, it's over." Aiden smiled weakly. For now, he looked out the window. Alien ships surrounded the Titan protectively. For the first time, there was no fear in their eyes, only respect, only unity. The final line as emergency lights flickered on, a communication signal crackled through the dark bridge. It was Orin. His voice was soft, almost reverent. Captain Aiden Ward, humanity saved us all today. The galaxy breathes because of you. Aiden closed his eyes. No, he whispered. We saved each other. He looked out at the united fleets. At last we stand together, fade out.